So September, it's all of these different months. It's also Preparedness Month. I think we have an advantage because when you get to September, a lot of us start to think about 9/11, and we all remember, oh yeah, something really sudden could happen that's not good that we need to be ready for. And are we ready? And then we get hurricanes, and those are a lot more imminent, and I suspect everybody in this room, I hope, did a little bit of a mental check, like, ooh, if the power goes out, and think, what can I do? So this is a great month to be thinking about emergency preparedness. We're also grateful that Florence didn't actually come, but it did hit our neighbors to the south. They're having a really hard time. I will say, in any emergency, there is a tremendous amount of cooperation, both in the region and nationally, and actually we sent a team of public health nurses down to North Carolina to help out. So everybody does pitch in and help out. So this is a great time to think about what you're going to do in an emergency. There are so many online sites. I get totally overwhelmed when I look myself. We have one. You can check it out, but I thought I would just say I like to keep it simple, and I would go at a very basic level. In an emergency, you need to be informed. So sign up for Arlington Alert. You can go online. You get your messages right here telling you if there's a hurricane coming or something that you need to be worried about. It will help tell you what to do. Please sign up. I think Angela's got a slide there. It's easy to do. So you need to be informed. So let's say the power goes out and things, you know what you really need to stay informed is a nice little radio. And these are really handy, these kind of radios. They've got a little crank, you know, so you can crank it and charge it up. If you don't have the batteries, it'll run on batteries, it'll run on solar, and it's got a little thing, it's got a light, and you can plug in your phone and charge your phone, all in one handy little emergency radio. I highly recommend having it on hand, and you can turn to WERA, which is our local Arlington public media station, 96.7, and they will be giving like regular updates, because sometimes when you're listening to WTOP or something about, they're giving all kinds of things about what you should be doing if you're in Montgomery County or if you're in Fairfax or if you're in DC. Sometimes little Arlington gets a little lost, but that doesn't help us in the middle of an emergency. So you can get really good local information at 96.7. So that's one thing, stay informed, make sure you've got a way to get informed, and remember you might not have power. So the next thing is you need water and a light source, okay? So water. I know, they tell you you're supposed to have so many gallons of water per person, and you do. We all have water in our homes, right? So that's there, and say the power goes out or the water goes out, you do have, I know it sounds yucky, the back of your toilet's got water, your hot water heater probably has water, and if you carry these little tiny little tablets, you can put them in water and make almost any water safe to drink. So you just carry these around. So don't carry around gallons and gallons of water, but if you have a little bottle, they're inexpensive, it's nothing. We took these through Africa, we drank from plenty of strange sources and never got sick from the water. So you need the water, then you need a light source. Candles are so romantic and nice, and I love candles, but they can be dangerous for fires and things, and maybe you've got some kids who are scared at night, and you can get these, aren't these nice little tasteful, you can hardly see it, it's just a nice little glow, some kind of, you know, just a light source that you don't have to worry about fire is always handy. And you know, classically we say flashlights, but the problem with a flashlight is you gotta hold it. And in fact, almost all of our phones have got flashlights, right? So if you're gonna buy something special, get a headlamp. You can just put it on your head and you turn on the light, and then when you're working on something in the dark, and whenever you're working on it, you can look right at it and the light points right at it. So if you're gonna invest in anything, get one of these. This has been in my household for probably about 15 years and it still works, so it's great. So water, light source, information, basically that's it. So, I mean, you can get overwhelmed, you can make it a lot more comfortable, but basically that's it. But you have to think about, likely you're gonna be fine, but you might be worried about somebody you care about. There might be an emergency and you might be here and they might be there, at home, at work, at school, at something. What are you gonna do? And you can't communicate because maybe these aren't working. So let's make a plan. A plan can be very simple, at least just talk to your family a little bit about what you're gonna do in an emergency. Say you gotta evacuate and leave home, where can you meet up? Have a close place, real close to your home maybe, have a place farther away. More importantly, have a few numbers of family maybe far away. I don't know how many people were here in 9/11 like we were, the phones weren't working. But I could call my mother in Wisconsin. And luckily my husband called my mother in Wisconsin, and my mother in Wisconsin told me what my husband told her, and I knew he was okay and safe and where he was. But that's how, for a little while, we kind of worked things out. So I try to make sure all our families, we've got a couple numbers, and we're sure that these people, they're far away, and that we could reach them and be able to connect up. So that's it, a plan. Simple, something small. You can make it really elaborate, but just get started and do something very, very simple. Now, there's so much more you can do. Obviously, wine, hot chocolate, food would make a snowstorm a whole lot nicer. So you might want to think about that. But basically, it's just the information, the light source, and a water source, and a basic plan. That's it. So finally, if you want to get more involved, you can do some training and have some fun, which we did recently. Angela's got something, if you go, that's the little thing. Yeah, so we got trained right here in this room. Dr. Reed Smith and our emergency department helped be the help until help arrives. It's great training. We all did it. Next slide. You just learn basic stuff like how to move somebody in emergency. If you'll notice, it's under the arms, grab the wrists. I mean, I didn't know that. Most like people, if you don't think about it, you pick somebody up and you're really trying to help, but it's not as efficient as doing something like this. Got lots of simple hints because you never know when there's going to be a car accident. I mean, hopefully not a horrible shooting event, but something happens that you need to help people and move them. And this just gives you some really basic stuff that makes you feel empowered, which is really great. You can, if you want, join the Arlington Network for Community Readiness. Has a nice acronym, ANCOR, to be a volunteer resource for your community. There's probably a lot you can do, especially if you used to go camping. I think one of the best ways to prepare for an emergency is to have done camping. Finally, and you can go to readyarlington.com for more information. Finally, if you ride a bike and want to have that, I do want to point out that's our own Eric Gutschall. Of course, we were all here, and that's David Snyder from Falls Church on the Falls Church City Council who came to join us for the training. Finally, if you want to ride a bike and have an adventure, we've got something for you. Disaster relief trials are on the 29th here, and that is where you're going to simulate having to use a bike during a disaster to move equipment, move people, carry messages. If you don't like, if you're not into riding a bike, there are other ways you can help. This is something my husband would have just loved. But it's pretty cool. I would like to just conclude with a real quick clip from Portland, Oregon, they do it. It'll explain a little more about it, and then we will turn it over for the proclamation, and thank you for your attention. Be safe, everybody. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
If we had a 9.2 earthquake, which is definitely possible, like right now, the first thing I would do is run, because we're standing underneath the freeway. It'd probably be a rubble pile. But the next thing we'd have to deal with is, how do we get around? I'd say, a bicycle is a pretty good solution.
One of the big issues when you have an emergency is transportation. How do you get supplies to neighbors in need when the roads are cluttered with debris and cars can't get through? Cargo bikes were critical when Hurricane Sandy eliminated mass transit and clogged the streets with debris. Cargo bikes are critical.
An event like the DRT allows professional emergency managers to see cargo bikes in action.
We need you ready when the earthquake comes. You'll be out today proving that Portland will be ready when disaster hits.
The idea behind resiliency really is what are those things that we can do and have that contribute to an overall strength if there is a big disaster.
You are the heroes of the future.
Doesn't that look like fun? Hopefully we'll have the really cool music in the background too. All right, Madam Chair, I turn it over to you.
Absolutely. So we have, it is actually National Preparedness Month throughout the country, and we're declaring it here in Arlington because whereas National Preparedness Month seeks to increase public awareness about the importance of preparing for emergencies and encouraging individuals to take action, as Ms. Garvey just did, and whereas our Office of Emergency Management and the Emergency Preparedness Advisory Commission here in Arlington are encouraging residents and employees to prepare for emergencies by being informed about different threats, preparing emergency supply kits and family emergency communications plans, and getting involved in preparing the community, and whereas preparedness is everyone's responsibility, therefore I hereby proclaim the month of September 2018 as National Preparedness Month in Arlington and urge all citizens to be informed, make a plan, and get involved in preparedness. And I'd just like to recognize, I know we have Aaron Miller, the director of our emergency preparedness team, and quite a few others from staff, if you'll stand. Thank you for all that you do to make sure that our community is ready and is prepared. It's a critical job, and we are very grateful for your work.